Hey Harmonizers, it's time for a Mustang Aoife update. My wonderful little Mustang from this year who's doing super awesome, and this is her doing some obstacles. So you're going to see a lot of variety going on here. This was a little earlier in the summer and we had them all set up because of a workshop that was going on at the farm, and I thought, you know what, let's bring her out and we'll just see how she does, because there's way more set up than there typically is in the arena, and we'll kind of explore her confidence. And what I love about doing stuff like this with the horses is I get to see how quickly they problem solve, what they do if they're not sure about something. There's a lot of little pieces where I get to learn about them and also see what they're going to be naturally kind of good at, because I always love to try to suit horses to things that they want to do rather than things that they don't want to do. But of course, I allow for that time of letting them learn, explore, and try, because it's really not fair to decide that somebody doesn't enjoy reading if you haven't taken the time to at least teach them to read a little bit and then introduce them to some books. That's not kind of reasonable, and it's the same way for horses. It wouldn't be fair to say that Aoife's not going to be great at obstacles and judge her off of the very first obstacle that she's doing, which is here asking her to do the bridge. So it's more about giving them a chance, see how big their no is when they say no, and then working kind of from there. So here, this whole video is less than 2 minutes so far, and she's already walked over the bridge the first time. Of course, I go back and I do it again, and I do enough repetitions until it's calm and confident going across the bridge there. So to me, even though she kind of struggled in the beginning a little bit with being willing to go up and onto the bridge, it didn't take that long for her to realize to try, and there was no big scary kind of flightiness from her. Like there was no big spook, startle, run backwards, start diarrhea, pooping, any of those kind of signs that you see in horses when they're unsure about things. So here's kind of me coming back and going over the bridge again, and you can see she goes really carefully. And some people might be thinking, well, she's only doing it because you have food, and it's a little bit of kind of a two-pronged piece that's going on. I'm not bribing her over the bridge. I'm not holding the bucket in front of her and kind of showing her and being like, you'll get this if you do it. It's more about trying to create a positive association. So it's like, you try things for me, and I'm going to try to help you feel good about doing so. It's like giving them a paycheck. So here is going over the little train area. There's the train set up, a bunch of the little signs, and then there's painted train tracks that are on the bottom there. So the plywood board makes a little bit of noise as they go across because it's clippity-clop across the wood there. But it's also the factor of going between those signs that are set up, which is kind of a good precursor to doing something like this, where this is going between something, and of course she figures out how to go underneath it, and then but there's nothing like low down. So it's kind of cute that she figured out how to lower her head, and still, even though she was nervous about it and kind of scrambled through it a little bit, it wasn't a super big spook. Like, she's really not going super far. And you can see it only took the second repetition there, and she was much slower going through and seemed much more relaxed. Here is our Liverpool setup, which I love the Liverpools way more than a tarp to start with, because tarps can get caught up around their legs, whereas the Liverpool is a heavier duty material, so it stays on the ground a lot better. And it's a nice obstacle to try. And then with the fire and the waves on either side, the painted fire and waves, it helps, it gives a bit of a squeeze effect, like the horse has to go between something that looks a little bit unusual, but also helps to ensure that they go through the middle of the obstacle too. So it's helping, but also another element of difficulty as well. And then here, there's like a little, I guess, thing that she's kind of walking across there as I was just moving stuff out of the way and getting set up to do the other bridges. And we had bridges set up in a T shape, because sometimes when we come across obstacles, you just have a single bridge. But one of the nicest ways we can make things a little bit different for horses is by combining things together. So it's not just one bridge and a break and one bridge, but it's a bridge to another bridge. And it could be a 90-degree angle turn like this, or it could be set up a little bit differently. But one of the easiest things that you can do if you have a horse is just start to put things together. You don't need to have a gazillion obstacles, but you can just kind of put some stuff together. So here we've got the couple bridges, and then we get to make that T effect. And because these bridges are a little bit more narrow than the other big bridge that you saw at the start, it took her a little bit longer to figure out getting her feet onto the bridge because it was very easy to kind of go around. So here she had to go onto that narrow space, which I know you can't see the one very well that she's doing there, but you can see the end that's kind of facing us. You'll see her go over it in a second, but it's much closer together, like less than 2 feet wide, compared to the other bridges, probably about 4 feet wide. So a big difference there, and also really good for her to go over a bridge and then have something beside her there. It's another way to add a layer of difficulty is to have an obstacle, but also have some distractions there, which can be a variety of things for sure. And you can see I reapproach there, just trying to make sure that she's nice and centered and straight. And then she starts to go on the bridge there, but you can see she kind of steps off to the side because it's pretty easy to do that since it's such a narrow space, but she ends up getting all 4 feet on there again. And when I'm repeating with the horse, I don't have a magical number of times that I repeat with them. I usually just repeat until they have some relaxation and understanding, and then to help them not get bored, I repeat, I continue on with the next thing. So I'm like, okay, good enough with the 4 feet on the other bridge. So then I started taking her off and doing the T, where she does the turnaround and practices turning on the bridge. So this is great. And you can see here how narrow the bridge is and her still getting on and just going really slowly and carefully. So I love getting to learn this little bit about her and seeing how she enjoys going slowly through the obstacles and really thinking her way through. And even when she came off the bridge, like when you saw her feet slip off the other time, she doesn't kind of scramble off, and it's not like she's so scared that she falls off. She's just kind of carefully placing her feet and thinking about being up or being off, all those little pieces. So I try to go equally slowly to really help her understand to stay on the bridge, and then that's how you get to earn all of your rewards. So there I offer her reward even with her back feet on the bridge there, just to make sure we get all of the feet. She did that so well. This one's super cool. This is a rolling bridge, so it moves. The first one that I've asked her to do, that moves. So you can see she's a bit nervous about it, but that was pretty quick for her to be like, you know what, I can try, I can do it. And you can see I gave her some treats for getting on, and then I give her some treats for going slowly across. And then as we come off, the thing moves, and she finds that really scary, which is interesting because she was already off the bridge at that point, but I think maybe because of the noise, or I'm not really sure what it was, but she just found it really scary. So then the next time we come back, you can see she's a little bit more nervous about it, I think because of how it scared her behind her bum. So you can see I'm just kind of patiently consistent with her. I give her praise for going on the bridge again. And then that kind of speaks to needing to build up the confidence of things behind her. So we go and we do the bridge again, and again she steps off and she gets really scared again. I think because of just the noise and how it moves and rolls back behind her. So I repositioned the camera just because of the awkward angle that it was at, so you could actually see what she's doing after the bridge. And she gets her food for going onto the rolly bridge, and we kind of go slowly and allow her to step off. And then this time I tried to walk quickly after it, and it actually worked a lot better. You can see she still did a little bit of a startle there, but for the most part she just kind of stops and stays, and that's really excellent. So I just really praise her and let her think about that. And then we move on to the next thing, which is a Teeter Totter. And in the beginning with the Teeter Totter, I often will use barrels at the side to just help make sure the horse stays straight, because I don't want her to like slip off the side when it tips or something like that. So it just helps make sure that she actually crosses the teeter totter. And you can see I give her some rewards. I'm giving her time to chew there. And then she thinks about it, comes across, and it tips. And you can see she actually handles that really well. But when she stepped down, the back of the teeter just kind of touched her back leg, which kind of startled her a little bit. So we go back to do it again. And it's tricky with obstacles that move because when, of course, we start with things that don't move, and then it can be really, that it will be very tricky for them to figure out how to handle the moving obstacles. So she ends up doing pretty good, and then I take away the barrels, and then it's a matter of trying to do it without the barrels to help keep her going there. So now she has to stay straighter, and we don't have the help of the barrels to make sure she does the whole obstacle. And of course, they still give her little rewards, and then she comes across, and overall doing really well. So let me know what was your favorite obstacle in the video, and thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.